Mother.
Yes, Judy?
What did you do in the last big war?
Well, how did you ever happen to ask me that, dear?
Well, Daddy's always telling me about what he did. Then I was looking in that big picture book of yours.
Oh, you were you?
And I saw your baby pictures, and when you were in school. After that, there were a lot of you all with the same dress on. Only it didn't look just like a dress. Was that on account of the war?
Yes, darling, that was on account of the war. That was my uniform.
Did you fight, Mother?
Yes, I fought. Oh, but not just the way you mean. Mother was a WAVE, like thousands of other women all over America. We were all in the Navy.
Did you sail boats?
Oh, no, darling. WAVES didn't quite sail boats. But we did take over lots of shore jobs so that men could go to sea.
Where were you a WAVE, Mother?
Where was I a WAVE? I was stationed in Washington. It was lovely, that spring of '44. The war was all around us, yet at moments it seemed far away, except there was a suspense in the air. As more Navy men joined our growing battle fleets, more WAVES were needed to close the ranks. I've got to admit I was a little frightened my first day as a seaman in the Navy. But that feeling didn't last long. We found out in a hurry how much the Navy needed us. Our job in the progress section was to keep these charts up to date. They told at a glance the building story of every ship under construction, down to the last rivet. Down the hall was Ensign Turner from Chicago. She was an architect before joining up, so she went from designing dream houses to battleships. Yes, we WAVES watched a great new Navy grow in record time. And we were proud of our part in this American miracle. They were our ships. Most of us lived at WAVE Quarters, which was our Washington home, military style. It was here in ship service that large tactical operations were planned, like where to get some bobby pins. It was here, too, where you really found out how vast the Navy was and what other WAVES were doing in it, like At.Helen Mozell from Philadelphia, for instance. Helen was in the Hydrographic Office, where 400 WAVES re-explored the world. They made charts based on aerial photographs rushed in from all theaters of the war. Charts that came to life to warn our surface forces of a hidden reef off a tiny atoll in the Pacific, to tell our raiders of shallow, rocky beaches. Every mountain, valley, and river in the remotest jungle was accurately plotted to guide our flyers on a mission and home again. Here in these rooms, invasions began. For it was here that nature's secrets became the Navy's weapons of attack. They were the girls who joined the Navy and saw the world. WAVES did get to sea in the big pool out at WAVE Quarters. Well, that was where I met Mary Jane Hunter from Cleveland. She was in the Bureau of Supplies and Accounts. She took part in the weirdest fashion show ever staged. It wasn't chic, but young men in the North Atlantic weren't interested in style at the moment. The Navy knew that most women are good shoppers, and that's why these WAVES began to help buy the goods of war for a nation's Navy. They bought everything from steel hull plates to chewing gum for the ships and men who made history.
20 Avenger torpedo planes took off from this flight deck early in the morning on November the 5th. Boy, I'll never forget that day. Then the Hellcat fighters took off. And boy, I mean girls, did they get off that deck fast. We knew where the Japs were hiding, and so in about an hour, we were over our target.
Those were wonderful evenings in WAVE Quarters when there was a visiting hero. And how they hated to be called heroes. Well, maybe they hated to be thrown to a bunch of waves, but they didn't show it.
Half of the fighters were left up in the air, locked in a death struggle with the enemy fighters.
It wasn't long before I met other girls from my own hometown, Detroit. They worked at the Bureau of Naval Personnel, and they were the gals who changed men's lives. Through their hands passed orders to other ships or stations. And they handled promotions, and were happy for that unknown young ensign who became a junior grade lieutenant. Theirs was a family of millions. When the highest honors came to one of that vast fighting family, well, they were the proudest women alive. Sundays in Washington found us out in force. I guess I was a tourist at heart. Well, so was Lee Hornsby of St. Louis. This quiet young lady gave many a Navy flyer a preview of life at 30,000 feet. But it was all done on the ground at the Naval Medical Research Institute.
Your controls are set?
Yes, they're ready.
Are your subjects in position?
All ready? How are your masks?
Take her to 30,000 feet.
Okay, Doctor.
What is your time now?
0940.
Tell the inside observer your rate of ascent.
You're now ascending at the rate of 4,000 feet per minute. Are you comfortable? How are your masks?
We Waves were on the march that year of 1944. Thousands of us who didn't know starboard from port to begin with learned to hold down jobs that once required Navy men, like Jacksonville, New York, Seattle, in San Francisco, Norfolk, Charleston. At naval stations all over the nation, Waves were proving that it takes men and women to win a war. You know the happy ending of this story. I think I knew, even in those war years, what I was fighting for. It was for a day like this, and for you, darling, and even for Bambi. Yes, I'm glad I was a wave.